Hey, welcome back to video number 4. This is the fourth and final video in the Yokology Blueprint series. I want to thank you in advance of watching this video for taking the time, investing the time in video number 1 when we talked about how we help to get businesses found through local search marketing as well as local advertising. In video number 2, we talked about how to generate leads, how do we take those web visitors and convert them into an asset for you, which is getting them to give you an email address in exchange for information, which helps you then sell them over the long run. And video number 3 talked about the effectiveness of lead nurturing campaigns and automated email follow-up sequences based on your sales cycles and sales funnels for your customers. And in this video, we want to talk about, the question that we get a lot is, Daryl, how do we know it's working? How do we know that this is actually getting the job done? And so in this video, we want to talk about just an extremely important topic, which is how we track, measure, and improve your online marketing campaigns and efforts over a period of time. And I want to say that this is something that it really is important to us because we have so many business owners that come to us and they'll say that they work with a company like ours, or they hired an SEO company, or they hired this advertising agency, or whatever the case is. And they say that they never understood, they never got information from the company, they never got reports, they never understood exactly what was happening. And we think that's just a crying shame. Our business comes from a philosophy of partnership. Our business was set up to assist business owners in a partnership-like manner. So while we're not an employee for your firm, we work independently, but we want to hold ourselves accountable to the idea that if we're not helping your business grow, then you're not going to keep us around. If you've already talked with us prior, or if you haven't talked to us prior, then it's important for you to know that we do not sell long-term commitment contracts. We don't have a 12-month agreement, a 6-month agreement. We literally work with our clients one-on-one, month by month, and if we're not showing you measurable progress and improvement, then there's no reason for you to stay. The way we look at it is you wouldn't hire an employee and guarantee them a year's salary if they weren't a good employee. I mean, you would want to evaluate them on a monthly or quarterly or biannual basis. So that's how we approach our business. So it's very important that we put in extremely effective tracking and measuring and improvement processes. And that's what I want to cover with you in this video. This video is going to be a bit technical, but I think the best way to really grasp what we've done here and what we try to do here to help you go about your day and just go do what you do and let us do what we do. The way we do our tracking and measurement, we think will provide some confidence in how we do that so that you really have a dashboard and a viewing of what's really working and what's not working. And let's be very clear. Things don't always work exactly the way we plan them to. We have to make adjustments quite a bit in campaigns. Google changes their search algorithm estimated 500 times a year. A lot of times when they change the algorithm, there will be major changes in search results, and maybe your website is altered in terms of where it's ranked. And so we have to dig back in and revise our strategy as it relates to that. So we're always tracking and measuring. So let's dive in. There are essentially 5 things that we do, 5 things that we cover on a monthly basis with our clients. And number 1 is our advanced visitor tracking. I'm going to cover what that looks like in just a moment. We use what we call user experience tracking, which means we look at your website and we actually monitor what your visitors are doing on your website. Now, I know that may sound a little hocus pocus or maybe a little bit crazy, but we're really just watching their mouse clicks on the website. And what's so important about that, as I'll explain in a minute, is we can determine whether your content is laid out properly, whether they're going to the pages that you want them to go to. And so we're going to talk about that in just a moment. We're going to talk about how we track keywords, which is becoming more and more difficult today, and I'll explain why we don't lean on that measurement as much as we used to anymore, because it's just not a measurement that we can say is a key performance indicator, and I'll explain that in just a minute. I'll also break down to you our monthly reporting and analysis, and also what we do with our monthly reviews and our strategy meetings. So having said all that, let's dive into advanced visitor tracking. Everyone knows, or you should as a business owner, if you have a website, know that you have the ability to install 2 free tools from Google. The first one is Google Analytics. The second one is Google Webmaster Tools. Most of the time, a business owner will have Google Analytics installed, but they will not have it set up properly. And by that we mean not just is it tracking and should track your visitors to each page and visitors, how many times someone came to the page in a particular day, but it should also track how many conversions, how many people have converted on your website. And so that's usually one of the biggest holes we find with Google Analytics not being set up properly. The next thing is Webmaster Tools. Again, Google provides a free resource called Google Webmaster Tools. Webmaster Tools ties in directly with Google Analytics and essentially gives you some critical, viable data about the health of your website in the search engine. So for instance, if your website had been penalized, or if your website fell out of the search rankings, or if your website had been delisted for any strange reason, if there's anything wrong with the health of your website, maybe a virus has been inserted into your website, something unbeknownst to you. Maybe your website has malware or spam on it, again, unbeknownst to you. This is where you're going to find this information out. And I'll tell you, Google hates when they find websites with spam and viruses and things like that on them. They will, move your website out of users' eyes because they do not want their customers clicking on a website that could potentially be hazardous to their users' experience. So those are two of the things that are basics. We go into those tools, we get them set up, we make sure that they're synced up because there's tons and tons of data. I'm not going to spend too much time here. We've got resources on our website that can explain further what we're looking for, but those are the two most important there. We also use an advanced tool called Clicky, which gives us a lot more detailed data in terms of user experience, in terms of user analysis. We also look at heat maps there, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments. And then there's the Google Plus dashboard, which is now the new local dashboard. So combined with these four instruments, these four tools, that's how we compile all of our data for our clients, so we can determine what's happening and what to do. Essentially, think of it as your dashboard. You wouldn't drive your car without a dashboard that told you if you were about to run out of gas, or if the dashboard light would tell you that your engine light was on, or your oil light was on, or that your car was overheating. Think of these tools as your dashboards. And the good thing is, we're the ones analyzing the dashboard. We're essentially the mechanic who can tell you exactly what's happening with your car, going back to our very first example of your Porsche versus the NASCAR race car. So these are the dashboards that we use. Now, as I talked to you a minute ago, we use something called, let me back up, I'm going a little too fast for my britches. We use these heat maps, which again, we track the we track the mouse movement of your visitors. What's so important, this is actually when I gave the example of our client who had done a pretty good job of getting visitors to his site, but they just weren't doing what they should have been doing or what he wanted them to do. When we talked about in video number 2 how we set up those 3 lead funnels where we started getting them at the research, comparison, and buying stage, what allowed us to know that those visitors weren't doing and consuming the information that he wanted them to, that's how we really found out. We found out where the top pages were coming from through advanced visitor tracking, but then through our heat map tracking, we realized that they were not going to the pages that we wanted them to go to. So that's how we were able to basically break down those sales funnels and figure out where there was a gap. So again, getting traffic isn't necessarily the hardest part. Getting traffic to do what you want them to do on the site, that's what we are trying to do here. Keyword tracking, step 3 here. Keyword tracking is awfully interesting because Google essentially is moving towards a privacy situation where they're not allowing business owners to know exactly what keywords were typed in that allowed the visitor to come to your website. So things have gotten much more complicated over the last 12 to 18 months. We believe that it soon will be at 100% blind towards the keyword that were being used to get to your site. So keyword rank tracking is becoming more and more difficult and more unreliable because keyword tracking tools will be sitting from a particular IP address, and a visitor may be using a completely unrelated IP address, and it just becomes very complicated to track every single keyword. And so you could be sitting in your office and typing up a certain keyword, and you may not see your business, but I'm down the street and I'll see your business. So I don't have a lot of time to go through the nitty-gritty details here, but just understand that as a measurement, or what we call a key performance indicator, we don't use keyword tracking as much as we used to. We obviously are looking at traffic coming in, time on the site, a number of other factors as relates to Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools. We're also using the heat maps to determine whether visitors are doing what they're supposed to, and ultimately the end game is, are we capturing leads? Either they're calling your business, your facility, or they're completing forms and actions on the website, so we can monitor it there. Two things that are very important to us that have been part of our core mission with our business from the get-go was monthly reporting. Some things that are very important to us. We use multiple reporting tools, and we concise them into a report, and we provide these reports to you in as simple of detail as we possibly can. We realize that you're running a business, you're experienced in what you do, you're an expert at what you do, and this isn't necessarily your expertise. What we do want to make sure you have, though, are consistent monthly reports that report the most important information. Number one, what kind of traffic came in, from where did it come in, are they coming in from the right sources, what are some news sources that maybe we found traffic from, and how is the traffic coming in that we're buying through Google, through pay-per-click, Facebook, maybe even Bing. Then we're analyzing the traffic. We have something called traffic analysis, where we're actually looking at how that traffic is performing on your website, and most importantly, how many people are converting as a percentage. If 1,000 people make it to the site and 100 people convert, then the math ratio there is 10% of the people are converting. Now, 10% is depending on your industry, that could be a good number, that could be a low number, that could be a high number, but we're trying to make sure we're tracking those conversion goals, because if people aren't converting, then there are adjustments that need to be made either to the sales copy, to the content, to the copywriting, or perhaps we need to dial down further into the mind of your customer, because we're clearly not communicating a message. Anytime you have a website that is not, you're not converting leads, it's all about your message on your website. Last and most importantly are our monthly review meetings. Our account management team, they know without a shadow of a doubt that these monthly meetings are the bridge between a great relationship with our clients and a poor relationship with our clients. These monthly review meetings are not just to go over the stats and the numbers and to bore you with a bunch of data that you don't understand. The idea is to point out the most important and most relevant data that went well, and also point out the most important and most relevant information and data that we need to improve on. And yes, I did say what we need to improve on. And sometimes what we need to improve on requires some help from you and also some strategy and help from us. So we look at these monthly meetings as not just review meetings, but also strategy meetings. When we're working on lead funnel campaigns, and we're working on lead follow-up systems and email nurturing systems, and we're trying to track down how many people called into your facility, we need your help. We're not on the other end of the phone when people call into your office or into your business establishment. So we have to set up systems so that we can make sure that your team are understanding and recognizing that these web leads are a different breed. They actually think differently, they respond differently, and so we have to put systems in place to make sure that we're doing everything we can to capture these web leads and these web customers calling in, and making sure we can track that data back so we have efficient and effective and actually accurate numbers to measure with in regards to this tracking and reporting. But we take this very, very seriously. A lot of the measurements we're going to put in place for you, and then we're just going to share with you how those measurements are running. The neat thing about it is our clients really believe that this is one of the most important aspects of what we provide. And depending on where you are in the country or where you are in the world, if we're working together, we can do these obviously in person, on the phone, or on the web. A lot of our meetings now are taking place by phone and web. But again, we're going to review results, work logs, and action plans as we're moving forward. So what I want to do just briefly as we wrap this up is I want to take you back to the very beginning and just remind you that these are the 4 elements of our process. And I want to thank you for taking time to invest some time into this process. Hopefully, it has added some clarity, maybe a little bit of confidence in why things may or may not have been working well for you. And maybe, if the time is right, maybe if you believe that this is a process and a system that could work for your business and you'd like to explore a little bit more. I did mention in the very first video that there would be an invitation for you to speak with us further about this. You've obviously already given us your email address. You're probably going to receive some emails from us, just like in step 3, some lead nurturing information, some copywriting, and some sequences that should hopefully educate and empower you. But when you're ready, our account management team, our sales team is ready to have a communication and a conversation with you specifically about your business so that we can evaluate the opportunity that may lie ahead for you to grow your business online with these 4 steps, which is getting found, generating leads, increasing sales, and then tracking, measuring, and improving. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. Again, my name is Darrell Evans, one of the co-founders of Yokology Internet Marketing. If the invitation seems like it fits you, then I would encourage you to respond by clicking the link below, completing our strategy session, application. That way you can speak with us a little bit further and getting started with improving your online results. If not, hopefully this has been of value, of some sort of education, maybe bring some clarity to the overall online marketing process, and we wish you the best in the future of running your business. Take care.